Hi, welcome back to the Black Psych MP. Thanks so much for clicking on my video. So, yes, I do have some more updates for you. So, when it comes to where I am at along in my educational process, I am currently in my pediatric rotation and I am a part of a psychiatric consultation service in a big hospital. And it's really an interesting rotation because I get to go to every unit in the pediatric hospital and consult with children who are medically ill but are showing signs of psychiatric illness as well. And we assess them and we make recommendations to their primary team. It's so very interesting because we go to every unit, the pediatric ICU, and I mean, these children are very, very sick. They are on ventilators, ECMO, dialysis, Versed drips, like propofol drips, Dex strips. And for all the nurses that are ICU trained, you know exactly what a Dex strip is. That's something that I'm learning because I don't work primarily in the ICU. And then we're also going to like the floors where they're more medically stable but still requiring hospitalization either after a surgery or after a traumatic accident. And it has just been so just amazing just to see not only the medical side of it, because I do enjoy medical surgical nursing, but also too the spin of psychiatry. And it's like the perfect marriage between physically ill and psychiatrically ill, and I am enjoying every minute of it. So this rotation, I need 180 hours, and I believe so far I've only completed like maybe like 30 hours so far. So I have quite a ways to go, but after this rotation, I will be moving on to my geriatric rotation, which actually requires 280 hours of just geriatric rotation. Not quite sure why so much more for the geriatric rotation versus the peds or my adult rotation, but so that's what is required for me. So I will be graduating in exactly 7 months from now. My expected graduation date is April 2022, so I am also very close. And trust me, I have been counting down every single month. However, there is something that I really wanted to express and vent to my YouTube audience, especially because, you know, I really look forward to making the videos and talking to you guys about what's going on as I see it. And unfortunately, I have seen some racism in how the black patients are being treated versus other patients that are not black. And there was a particular situation where there was a patient who was not getting a full assessment. She wasn't getting the full, evaluation. And one of the doctors that I was working with actually called it out and said, she's being poo-pooed off as being a behavioral versus versus being like medically sick, because we're always taught as psychiatrists or psych MPs that you always have to rule out other signs and symptoms or other causes of psychiatric symptoms first before you can prescribe like a antidepressant or an anxiolytic medication. For instance, if somebody has hyperthyroidism, they're going to manifest as if they have anxiety, or hypothyroidism can look like depression. Sometimes even like encephalopathy can look like you're psychotic or delusional. So we have to definitely rule out every single thing that could be causing the symptoms of a psychiatric illness first before diagnosing someone with a true psych illness. And she wasn't getting that same kind of treatment. She wasn't getting that full workup. And so I was a little bit discouraged when I did notice that this was going on. And I talked to my family about it, and I was only discouraged more because, they believe that these things will never change and America will always be racist. And Black people will always have disparities in every setting, in every practice, in every specialty. And also, too, I just want to know what your all thoughts are about healthcare disparities, especially those that are confronting the Black community and the African American community. Because I did another project before had even encountered this in the psych unit, where I was researching healthcare disparities in the newborn ICU. And unfortunately, Black infants are dying at an increasingly alarming rate, more than any other group of babies. And they did a study on it, and they found that when Black babies were cared for by Black providers, their rate of death was cut in half in comparison to when Black babies were cared for by white providers. So it's not the babies. The babies aren't just more sick because they're Black. It's the care that they're getting that is not equitable, and it's not fair, which is causing them to die at an increasingly alarming rate. And then these are newborns, okay? These babies are only weeks to months old. And it's just so fair, and it's unfortunate. And I was just so angry by this when I saw that, okay, we have the same type of treatment in the psychiatric specialty as well. So it's like, no matter where you go, no matter where I go, there's always going to be this overarching theme of Black people not being treated correctly. And that makes me very upset. And that makes me very irritated. And I was discouraged for several days. However, my personality, I always seem to find the positive in everything, in every situation. And I told myself, I grabbed myself up from the, that low mood that I was feeling. And I said, yeah, you know what? It may always be racism. Sure, I can acknowledge that. But even though I may not be able to change it, I can make an impact on it. And that's what I will do. And that's why I'm going into psychiatry, is to make an impact. So, and this may sound kind of silly, but I said to myself, I kind of pictured myself as a ferocious lion and racism as a piece of meat, as a meal. And I see myself as a lion taking out chunks and bites out of this piece of meat, or this animal, which is racism and prejudice and implicit bias. And that's exactly what I plan to do. And that's what I'm going to do. So that's my resolve. And this gives me even more drive and more of just strengthens my mission, not only to make a impact on the disparity that faces psychiatric patients overall, but to also make an impact on the racism and the prejudice that is in the specialty, and really in all medicine all over. So that's what I've been going through. And that's the latest update. So yeah, let me know what you all think. Have you all noticed any racism or prejudice in your settings, in your specialties, and how did that make you feel? And what did you feel like you wanted to do about it? Did it affect you? Did it anger you? What happened? And I just want to know, is anybody else really noticing this except for me? Okay, so that's that. Thanks so much for watching. Comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll keep checking in with you guys as everything progresses. Have a good day.